right, everybody. How's everybody doing today? We got a special guest. He's not a guest. He's family. I hate using that word guest because everybody
Yeah,
knows Bigfoot Michigan Rob. I mean, that's not a guest, But there's something special that happened this week with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. You can see here. Let me pull up one of my banners because there's a Bigfoot the other day was seen inside of a library getting this new book.
That's pretty cool, dude.
This new book called True Cryptid Encounters. I mean, not even the libraries can keep out the Bigfoot getting this book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere. And we're going to be talking about we're going to talk about the book and, why even do the book? But before we talk about it, Rob, sometimes you get these crazy thoughts in your heads, right? You get these crazy thoughts in your heads. What I mean is, yesterday I did a show about, what's the bigger story, Roswell versus Mary Island incident, right? I was doing the story because they both happened in 1947. I know popularity-wise, Roswell will win because it's more movies. But if you look at the Mary Island, there's more things that happened there versus Roswell. But regardless. But then I was thinking last night, if somebody put a vote around the world, what do they rather believe in? Aliens versus cryptids. I'm sure that aliens would win because it seems like cryptids. It's that people don't believe it unless they really see it. I mean, they'll listen to stories and stuff, but people can't believe it unless it happens to them and all that. And I don't know if I'm wrong or right about that, but you agree with me that more people might think aliens are real versus Sasquatch?
Yeah, I would probably say yes. I mean, it certainly gets more publicity even on mainstream, even though a lot of the information that comes out is stuff that we all already know. But UFOs and aliens, I think, are more popular. I think that's been around for a long time now. Bigfoot came out, as we all know, back Patterson Gimlin really made it popular. But Bigfoot, a lot of people, yes, there's way more skeptics. Now, don't get me wrong. There are skeptics when it comes to UFOs and aliens. Yeah. Now, me personally, all communities, right? And, you're not going to get as a big an audience. I mean, you can go on all these UFO and alien channels or books or movies, and they're way more popular than Bigfoot or cryptids in general, right? And it's people like us and people that are in the Bigfoot community. It's up to us to spread the word that these things are out there and they do exist. I mean, I don't believe in Bigfoot, dude. I know he exists from my personal experiences and accounts, right? Now, I will say this. I do know that UFOs exist because I was about 7 years old and it was the middle of the week and me and my brother, were sleeping and it was my mom woke us up about an hour before we had to get up to prepare for school. I was 7, 8 years old. Robbie, Davy, it's my brother, it's my mom calls me and us, the Robbie and the Davy thing, right? So come to the back kitchen window and she goes, "What do you guys see?" And me and my brother, again, we're young guys, 7, 8 maybe. And there was in the backyard hovering probably about 100 yards up, I would say, in the backyard, there was a UFO, a disc-shaped flying object, and it was hovering, and it was moving up and down 10, 12 feet, up and down. She goes, you guys, back in the day, you got to remember, it used to be called flying saucers. I mean, UFO was out, but flying saucer was the first word as a kid that I knew. And sure enough, Scott or Eric... Yeah, it was a spaceship because I remember watching Lost in Space, and this thing looked like the craft from Lost in Space. I'm like, "Mom, you're right. That is something." And then it hovered there it had to have been like 30, 40 seconds, and we're just staring at this thing. And of course, back then, you don't have a cell phone. You don't have you have that Kodak camera. But we're looking at this, and then it jettisoned. And then all of a sudden,
And when we had TVs, we only had like 4 or 5 channels.
Well, this is well before cable TV.
Yeah.
So then this thing all of a sudden, as I said, it was hovering, and then you know what, man? It just darted in a half a second, vanished, boom, straight to the sky it shot. So my mom calls my dad. My dad's name's Bob, and now he worked for Chrysler at the time. Now I have to tell you something. Back in the days, this is in the 70s, probably 78, 79, and she pulls my dad off the factory floor, which is a no-no way back when, right? And she gets my dad on the phone. Bob, I saw a flying saucer in the backyard. The kids saw it too. Pam, my mom's name. Why are you pulling me off the floor for this BS? You know, you can't do that. I thought there was something wrong at the house because typically you can only call the factory back then if there was an emergency within the family. This was just, but this is how in awe and shocked my mom was. So hangs up the phone later on. And so she carted me and my brother off to school. So about 5 p.m., local news comes on. And as you mentioned, Eric, there was Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 2.
That's about it.
Yeah, and you pretty much watched the news and whatever was on TV, right? So they led the story with UFO spotted in Dearborn Heights, which was the city I lived in Michigan at the time. And they did this story because on that day, not only did my mother see the UFO, not only did myself and my brother see the UFO, about 365 people, 500 people called the local news and reported this. So the lead story was UFO spotted or flying saucer spotted in Michigan, city of Dearborn Heights. So that validated not only did my mom and my brother and I see this, but 300 to 500 people saw this, which was enough for the news. That was the lead story starting the news. And so my dad, who's sitting in the recliner, kind of apologized to my mom. Well, you weren't BSing me or making it up. And now that it made the news and there was so many other people that saw it. Yeah. And so it kind of started me down the path where I am today. Not only am I into Bigfoot, I'm into UFOs, aliens, the mysteries of the world, the paranormal, such fascinating topics. And yeah. So back to your original question, I still till today though, Eric. I think people do believe more in UFOs than Bigfoot. I mean, we've had what in the last 5 years we've had 3 or 4 news networks
Yeah.
promoting and
You're
putting
right.
on
That's about it.
the hearings. But as I said, a lot of these hearings, yeah, I mean, again, if you're into the field like we are and people watching today, we kind of know a lot of these stories already. However, you'll never see a hearing on Bigfoot spotted in Oregon
Nope.
or out by
Nope.
Eric's house, Pacific Northwest, will you?
And you guys could tell that Rob's not from this area because it's not Oregon, it's Oregon. No, it's we call it Oregon, but that's regardless. And there's a reason why I bring this up because I know everybody in the chat's like, I thought the book is cryptids. Why do we talk about UFOs? Now, and I'll tell you guys why in the chat. Danny Staten brought up something yesterday because I was like, when I did a vote on Roswell versus Mary Island, Rob said, I picked Roswell, forgetting the name, because it's been on more on TV and more of this. And I started thinking, he's right. It's more publicized. You got the hearings, the popularity is there. But what Rob's doing is not just telling his story in his channel. It does take books and documentaries and stuff to get the cryptid story out there. There are people who there's people. My wife's one of them who would rather read the book on information than hearing it on TV, on hearing it on the news. So what you're doing, Rob, with this book is is getting maybe a new audience to look into it. So you are helping the community with this book. Now, I ordered a book because it just technically came out yesterday, and anybody, I pinned the link to Amazon where you could order it.
Oh, thank
And
you.
of
I have
course,
to say
that's
I
the
dropped
book.
the link too. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
it's pinned and it's also in the description. And I actually ordered the book as soon as Rob sent me the link. Now I was hoping with a long shot that I would have the book here ready for him, but it's Amazon says arrival by 10 p.m. and it's not even out for shipment yet. So I'm getting it today, but I'll probably get it at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and all that. But now your book is called True Cryptid Encounters.
Yeah.
May I ask? I don't want you to spoil it, but how many? Is it one story, or how many stories are in this book?
Okay. Well, the cool thing about this book is it's different. You see, it's not a. So I was sitting back, okay, and I was just thinking about. I've getting see back about 2 years ago how this really started. I didn't even think about writing a book, let alone starting a YouTube channel, right? Um, and then I had put something out there because I have guests on my channel, Bigfoot Michigan Rob YouTube channel, of course, and I have guests, and my guests are mostly researchers and experiencers that come on, and I interview them on the show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So then I clicked out one day. This is like 2 years ago. I dropped my email. I said, "Look, anybody interested in sharing an encounter story, just send me an email of your stories." So it took 2 or 3 months. I wasn't getting anything, and then all of a sudden, Eric, a lot of these stories started to come in. So I'm like, wow. So what I started to do was, and all these people wanted to be anonymous. They didn't necessarily want to be a guest on the show, but they wanted their story to be told. And a lot of these stories, Eric, there's just not enough information because most of them are one-time experiencers. So there's not enough information to do a whole hour and a half podcast on. So I started writing their stories and putting them in video format on my channel, and that seemed to grow in popularity because my videos outside of the live shows, I'll put these stories out, and they're anywhere from 8 to 17 minutes long, from subscribers to the channel or a variety of different emailers. And then I started collecting a bunch of stories, so I started putting them and pushing them on my channel, and I got a very good response. So after a while, I'm getting enough data and information where I said, you know what, I should write a book. So with the book, it's not your typical chapter 1 through chapter 50. It's not a book like that. What it is, it's kind of unique in the fact that there's 45 encounter stories,
Mhm.
and they're all individual stories. Okay, so the first story I think is Thunder Mountain Dogman. Story 2 is Bigfoot in Michigan. Then there's, the demon dog of Illinois. So they're all, so what you can do when you finally get the book, go to the table of contents, and you can read it out of order. Whatever theme or title of the encounter is that you're into, you can go right to that because the page is listed, and you can go to page 27 to find Dogman Island and read it. So it's you can read it out of order, in order, whatever you prefer. Certainly, I prefer you read all of them, but whatever you're interested in, you can find it very easy in the table of contents. So it's 45 cryptid encounter stories that I've gotten over the years from people that send it in to me. And then, of course, I had to reshape some of it because some of these stories might be like 90 words long. So, yeah, I'd add some descriptions. I said, hey, I have to call the person back. Now, what was the day like? Were you in the forest? Was it raining? Was it sunny? So, sure, certainly a lot of things I had to give it a foundation, but the stories are all true to form from what the people have sent me. So that's always accurate. And so, yeah. And so the book got published on Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I just looked today on the thing that I'm set up with, and so I've already sold like 27 copies, which I was like, wow, because it is a tight market, like we were talking about earlier. If you're not in, it's people into Bigfoot. If you type Bigfoot on Amazon or Bigfoot Michigan Rob, you'll find it. So I know it's gonna be hard to market. So therefore, it's a lot of word of mouth, like shows like this. I'm trying to get booked on other shows, like I've got something already out to the big radio station. What's it called? With
It's on radio.
no, not Space Out Radio, but the other guy.
Oh,
My mine slips me. Coast to Coast Radio. So
yeah,
they
yeah,
emailed me back. I might be doing a gig on there already. So yeah, so it should be word of mouth because again, like you mentioned, if it's not put in front of your face, people don't care about Bigfoot, right? 2% of the population probably
yeah.
does.
That's
So,
true.
and I didn't write this book to sell a million copies or be rich overnight. That ain't going to happen because again, it's such a segregated and segmented market that it is what it is. And I did it, and I always wanted to write a book. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, you're right. Different states. Like Washington's known for the Bigfoot. There's Bigfoot parades. There's when we had a basketball team, the Sasquatch was the mascot for the Sonics. And there's even a law up in Washington where if you shoot a Bigfoot, you could get arrested for manslaughter. So Washington really embraced the Bigfoot. Any store you go to, there's Bigfoot posters, Bigfoot this here, Oregon, all the way up to Vancouver. But when I was living, I'm from California. When I was from California, nobody gave a shit about UFOs or Bigfoot, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
So it is depending on where you're at. And it sounds like your book is perfect for me because my biggest problem in a book is I have a hard time to go from A all the way to the end with one story.
Yeah.
You got multiple stories, so it's like a faster
Yeah.
read. You know what I
fast.
mean? It's more my pace. It's way more my pace. It's like me.
Yeah, well, that's the way I set it up. Because I'm saying, well, I just want to throw some book out there because if you look at a lot of people, they'll write encounter stories on books. They'll write Bigfoot encounters. I mean, a lot of I'm not unique. I'm not the only one that's done this. Many people have done it. But what I did to hopefully amass a bigger audience is even the title of my book I thoroughly thought out to help. And again, this is marketing, right? I mean, I did something, so I expect and hope to make a return. So that's why I even titled it Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents. And then on the back cover it says from the Bigfoot Michigan Rob YouTube channel. So no one's done that. I set up to market not only the book, but also my YouTube channel. So hopefully I can gain subscribers, sell some books. But bottom line, though, for me, Eric, I'm very proud of what I've done. I'm happy with it. And it was like a bucket list thing. Now, am I going to write more? Probably. I've got book 2 in the works, but I'm also coming out with my personal encounters, which will be more of a chapter book. It's going to talk about my personal encounters from age of 5 and 7 through today. So I got a lot of things in the works. I do enjoy writing. I always wanted to be a journalist or a writer growing up. My dad told me, well, if you don't make it big, you're going to be broke. So that's why he went into business, right? But now I'm doing something that I wanted to do since a kid, and I'm in my 50s, right? So now I'm doing something for my own personal
That's awesome.
well-being,
Well, we all like to find ways to support, and some people, when they want support, they want something in return. But by getting your book, you're supporting you, and they get a book for read. And I try to support my my community. I call you guys all family. Like I have a book I bought for Amber's Paraworld. It's a great read because I feel people like yourself, Amber, that's where the real stories are coming from. It's not going to come from CNN or Fox News because they're gonna dissect whatever it is to get ratings. I'm sure when I get your book today, it's gonna be straight from the information you got from the people in it. You're not gonna. I have a hard time believing you will carve anything out on purpose just to make it more spicy or more down. You probably tell it how it
well,
was, how it is.
and I will tell everybody listening right now, as I read the back of the book. I mean, if you want to pull it up, I could probably read that blurb. You had it. Well, you don't have to do that. Here's the thing about the book. In the back cover, it states, I'm trying to summarize. These are true accounts and events from people. Yeah. Okay. So here it is. This is on the back of the book from the Bigfoot Michigan Rob YouTube channel. Something natural, perhaps not so natural, lurks in the abundant wilderness of state and national parks of North America and beyond. Whether hiking, camping, fishing, hunting, or just taking a relaxing day's walk through nature, many people have life-changing encounters with strange creatures in the forest. Now, really quickly, life-changing encounters, that's me. It changed my life when I had my encounter. So moving on, this book will explore true and accurate eyewitness accounts of Sasquatch, Dogman, and a few other mysterious entities. All the testimonials and stories have been provided by complete anonymity to the author over the years, serving as therapy and perhaps even closure to their traumatic experiences. Again, that is me, Eric. A lot of this book is just about me because it was therapeutic when I went on and told my encounter, and it did form as therapy. Many of the stories found in this book are terrifying, eye-opening, sad, in some cases gratifying. Come with us and ask, are we not alone in the forest? So really that back blurb on the back of the book is really me. It's surmising the trauma that I dealt with, the people judging me, calling me a liar that couldn't happen. So yeah. So really, when people send me an email, whether they're a subscriber or some random person, I'm telling their story because these people in this book have never been on my show before because they want to be and remain anonymous because they still don't want to be judged, right?
True.
And all the people I've contacted, the majority, I said, look, most of these are on video format already. And I said, look, I'm going to have a book come out. Do you mind? No, just don't put my name in it because a lot of these people, man, I'm over my encounter. I'm not traumatized by it any longer. I don't seek therapy, and I saw a shrink. I'm going to admit that on air for a couple of weeks, and I felt really weird telling my therapist about my Bigfoot encounter. That was the hardest thing I ever did in my life because this therapist is looking at me. He did, well, actually, it was a lady because I switched. I had a guy, which was a dick. Then I got a girl who was awesome. And I felt better about it. And so if I went to that length, imagine the people out there that felt just like I did. And then the acknowledgments in the book, if anyone buys it, it's dedicated to those people that have had traumatizing events in their life. And you'll find Dogman, Bigfoot, there's a Mothman in there, there's a couple paranormal ones in there. But I'm just providing release for them. So I did it for myself, yes, but I also did it for others. So when they get the copy of the book, they can say, wow, cool, thanks for that. And many people have already reached out. The few that I've told about the book, like, cool, thank you so much. So for them, if I can help them, then I did my job. Again, I don't have to make $1 million. Hell, if I make $100, I'm happy, right? It was
No, I can see.
a personal agenda.
Well, I see your point 100% because when I got in the military, I had to go see a therapy. You know, it's from the military and stuff, and it's hard enough to even go in there, to even sit on the couch and tell them. And I'm thinking about your story. You know, I'm telling them what happened to me in the military, the accident, the medical, the medical stuff. I can imagine sitting on the couch, you know, you're going through something, but through a cryptid and stuff. And I can see you, you are also thinking, is she going to think I'm crazy? Is she going to think this? It's natural. It's natural to think that. But I can see where writing a book, seeing them can help because when you start talking about it, when you start speaking about it, it does make you feel better. It does get off your chest. I heard Mike Long Island Bigfoot, him going out investigating Bigfoot in the woods is his therapy. It makes him feel good. And if you can help people do the same thing, that's awesome. it is cool now that there are platforms now that people can feel comfortable. Like, you know what? I didn't feel comfortable before, but Bigfoot Michigan Rob, if he could come out and speak about it, do a book, I'm gonna go on his show and tell the people my story. They believe it or not, and you helping them to release it from holding it in.
Yeah, because I've spoken about this many times. I When I had my first encounter, it was 2018, and you've heard this, Eric. A lot of most of the people in your chat already know me. Man, I owned a bar. I didn't go to work for 6 months. I just felt so lost and alone. And that's why, my first video, I didn't have a YouTube channel. I wanted to put out a video about I talked to several people and they said, you got to speak on this. So instead of worrying about the naysayers and talking to your friends or relatives, put it on a video, make it public. Yeah, some people give you backlash, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Get it out there in verbiage. So I did a video. So I had to put together the handle Bigfoot Michigan Rob. I came up. I'm Rob. I live in Michigan. It's all Bigfoot. So it wasn't even a channel. I just did it to create the video on YouTube. And dude, I got like 2,000 views in like 2 weeks on my very first encounter that I released in 2019.
Wow.
My story, man. I've since made it private because I was so dissatisfied with the way I presented it, and I tell it a lot better, but man, I felt so good about it. So as time went on, I said, yeah, I know how I felt lost and alone. So I'm going to provide this for people that felt like I did. And, you can see it in the videos. I'll do encounter stories every Saturday. I release a video about people's encounters. And you know how many people send back, Rob, thank you for doing that for me. I feel so much better. I didn't want to be on that. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want some of these people, Eric, have not even told their loved ones or their wives their encounters. They've kept it bottled in for years. That's not good for your mental health, man. We hear things about mental health. I tell you what, I thought I was crazy for about 18 months. I did.
But you don't know how true you are. I don't know. I don't really talk about this too much. When I was working for a medical company, we're doing. I was in charge of a warehouse, and I was also doing YouTube on the side at the same time. And then they got sold out to 3M, and they were like combining shops. Positions being gone. Well, I got laid off. So I talked to one of my buddies, supervisor. He goes, Eric, I go, don't tell you, don't tell anybody. One of the reasons why they wanted you laid off because they know you have a show, and you're kind of outspoken. You're not afraid to say something.
Yeah.
So because of the merger, and because we talk about we talk about UFOs,
Yeah.
Bigfoot,
Paranormal.
And they're afraid that if they do something wrong, you're not going to have a problem telling everybody about it. So you're right. It can happen because it did happen. I can't verify that was the reason. That's what I was told. That was part of the reason why they picked me, because I had my own YouTube show talking about this, and they didn't want that kind of person. Because if I'm not afraid to talk about it on air, then I'm not afraid. It happens. It does. It does. But should you do? That's the question, right? Should you not do it? Should you do it? I guess that depends on the person. And when you have a family, you got kids, I get it, because you got to put food on the table.
Yeah.
So it is hard.
Again, it is very hard, and then I gotta tell you, everything you said, for me, I certainly can relate to, because after the encounter, when I owned a bar for 13 years, as my first 3 years, I got divorced. I had a good job at Ford Motor Company, but I always wanted my own business. So I started my bar business. Wife wasn't happy, married at the time. For the first 3 years, my friend, I didn't make a dime. I was broke. My wife divorced me, and I had to move in with my parents. So but yeah, you know, and I told my manager at the bar when he asked me why won't will I not be at work for like however long of a period, I said when I get my act together, I'll tell you why. So I went back to work 6 months later. I said, yeah, I feel good, look good. I said, yeah, here's what happened to me June 15th of 2018. This is why I took time off. And you know what? My manager told me, I believe you 100%, Rob. And I said, really? You're not just saying that because I'm your boss? Nope. Then he went on to tell me about all the hauntings that went on in my bar that he never told me because he thought I would fire him, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a cryptid, a ghost, or haunting. And then a lot of my employees came forward. Yeah, Rob, you're never here really at 3 o'clock in the morning closing up. This place is haunted. So I got a deep dive into that, and then I experienced a ghost at my bar. So for me, man, it's not just Bigfoot or Dogman, Mothman. It's about ghosts, apparitions, people coming back from the dead. I mean, it's just there's so much out there, and we are unique people. You and I, and everyone in chat and listening later, we are the oddballs. But I embrace the weird. I embrace the weird. I don't care if I'm an oddball because half the people that I love in this chat and come into my chat, we all have the same. We're all bound in some way, whether you have an encounter or not. Everyone believes. And again, I'm not a believer, I'm a knower. And that's why I'm happy with what I do today. And I'm happy to be on your show. Thanks for that.
No, what I'm hoping in the long run is I'll admit, it took longer in life to be able to come out. Even when I started my YouTube channel, Rob, I mean, I would talk about other people's stories, but I never really talk about my own stories. It's like
Yeah.
you kind of kept even your own stories in while you're listening to everybody else's story. But then you start getting comfortable. Then you get a little older. Like, you know what? I give a shit now what people think.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to see a younger generation not afraid anymore to talk about their experiences, because you are worried about your job. You are worried about this. But at least now on YouTube, you don't have to show your face. You could put a different name on the bottom. You know what I mean? I mean, you can have your own emoji to talk about it. So
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, that will help. And I hope it does help. And I love it how even though your book is cryptids, you respect the paranormal, you respect the UFOs, you understand that we don't understand everything. We both respect science, but we also know that science can't answer all the questions because even technology, every year new technology comes. We learn more about space because we are matching the space galaxy with the technology we have at the moment. So we know we're
Mhm.
growing, we're learning. And one of the things
Well,
I always learn, yeah, no, go for it.
no, I was just saying another thing about science. I don't equate any science with really like cryptids because that's just a total it's disrespected. But at least with science and why UFOs would are more prevalent today is because at least it's mentioned and you can equate some science to it, right? And of course it's put on now it's put on mainstream TV. So I get it because when you talk about Bigfoot and you'll get some well-known people just equate it to an ape, which to me that to me is baloney. I'm not in the ape camp, right? There's something more to it than that. So, but yes, what you're saying is that there's no exposure to it, and there's more exposure in the extraterrestrial realm because people will take science because people believe in science. Now, me personally, do I believe in science? Yes, but science also has their own narrative,
Yep,
especially when it comes to these creatures.
I agree. I agree. Like part of my job in the medical company, when somebody calls in sick or they're on vacation, I would do the deliveries. And a lot of times, so I go into hospitals all throughout the state of Washington, and I go. That means I go into the patient's rooms, and I don't know how many times, Rob, that when I walk into a room, they thought that goes, I just saw my father, I just saw my dad, I just saw my uncle. More than once, a lot. And I know doctors, science says, the medicine is making them think this way. Not everybody. Not everybody, because after I visit them, after they tell me they saw somebody, I hate to say this, usually the next 2 days when I go back, I'm picking up the machine because they passed away. Is that luck? You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
it happened at different hospitals all throughout Washington. It's not all from medicine, not all from that. What I'm just saying is science can't explain everything, and it is comfort to know that a loved one is taking you away. I love that.
Yeah.
But science can't explain that.
They can't explain it, and they also can't explain. I had, again, I was a skeptic when it comes to. Well, I do believe in God. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, but I believe in God and stuff. But I never really believed that your loved ones would come back and pay you a visit to let you know they're okay. Because if you talk to 100 people, maybe one person will say, yeah, I had that experience. So I was kind of on the fence with that until my dad passed away 7 years ago. And my dad was a veteran of the war and a hero, and I loved him, respected him to death. So on the front of his house, he would always fly the American flag. So I went over to my mom's to fly the flag because when he passed, I had to do a lot of work for my mom, of course, and help her out. And so, Robbie, can you come over and put up the flag for Dad? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. So I went there. Now, the American flag was on their front porch. It was about a 12-foot long front porch, wraparound porch, about 6 feet off the ground, and surrounded by lots of bushes. So I'm looking for the flag. I find the flag, and Eric, this little screw to put in this flag, you can't see this thing from 4 feet in front of you. It's so small. So I'm there. I'm putting up the flag. So I put the I got the pole in the whatever it was to secure it. So I grabbed this little screw. I immediately dropped the screw to attach the flag. Okay. And as I mentioned, and the front of the top of the porch too was kind of made of stone. So there was a lot of ripples in it. So it wasn't a flat surface. It had like indentations. And this thing is like dropping a needle in a haystack. I spent 2 hours looking for this screw. I got on my hands and knees on this whole porch and I looked for this screw. I'm actually getting very emotional because I want to put this up for my father and, of course, my mom. And I even went in back of all the bushes. But you know what? In back of the bushes, there was mulch. There's not a shot in hell I'm going to find this miniature screw. I go to the hardware store. Cannot find anything that would fit. So I'm really emotional now. I spent another 2 hours looking and pleading to God to help me find this screw. So I'm about ready to pack it in. I go in my mom's basement of the house beside myself. And I finally spoke to my dad. I mean, I didn't speak to him personally, obviously, or spiritually, or there was no telecommunications. And I never did this in my life. I said, Dad, out of respect for you, and Mom is just going crazy. Quite frankly, Dad, I'm so very sad I can't put up your flag. And sure, could I have bought another flag? Yes. This was his flag.
It's special.
It's special. Dad, you got to give me a sign, you know? So I leave the basement. I go to the front porch. And I'm looking on the front porch. and I see this glint of a reflection shining back into my eyes. I'm like, what the hell is this? I get on my hands and knees, and that is the screw right after
Oh,
communicating with my dad. And so, do I believe? You damn, yes, I do. Yep.
that's amazing.
Yep.
I mean, this, just the feeling, not just finding a screw, knowing that you had a conversation with
He
your
heard me.
father.
He
He
didn't
heard
say
you.
nothing back to me, didn't say a word, didn't telecommunicate or have telepathy going on. But and I'm gonna tell you, this took 5 hours and a visit to the hardware. I was ready to pack it in. And that when I was at my lowest, I went one more time to look, and within seconds, I found the screw after asking my dad.
You ever think that it had to happen for a reason that way? Because I'm not saying your father did this, but it just makes the appreciation of like finding a screw. It's him. Like you had to go to the store and do all that
Yeah,
for five,
I
6 hours. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
no, yeah, people would say I lucked out and maybe it was there all the time, but today I would tell them, no, I don't believe that at all. Because I literally was on my hands and knees on this whole porch looking and I even brought out a magnifying glass. I mean, I searched this thing forever. And the funny thing where it was placed right beneath, where the flagpole would have been. If you follow the screw up, it's right to the stock or the again, I can't think of the word where I put the pole in. It was parallel to it. I mean, it was right there where all I had to do was pick it up, it lined up. So you're damn well when I put that screw in, I didn't put it in. I called up my brother's wife who had small little fingers. I said, you got to put this in for me because I'm not dropping it again.
Wow. There's things in life you just can't explain. I told this story before. When my father passed away, he was in the Air Force. He passed away the day before. He
Yeah.
told us he saw his parents. He actually died on Memorial Day of all days.
Mm,
Memorial Day. It was like it was meant to be. And we do the cremation. He was being buried at the memorial for veterans and all that. And we picked a date. We went to the place that's supposed to do the whole show with the guns and all that with respect. I have family that came up from Oregon. Everybody came up, and we went down there for the ceremony just to find out the plaque wasn't there. Going to the office, they have a different date.
yeah.
Not to another week, and I got all my family here, and it was raining. It's Washington. It was raining. I was like, I got family up here. What do you mean a week later? My wife wrote it down even. It was like it's supposed to be today. So you're telling me there's no ceremony? There's no nothing? And the
Yeah.
plaque
Yeah.
wasn't even there? So for our family, we're like, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. We'll do it our way.
Yeah.
So we go down there where the square is where he's going to go. Stop raining during that time. We're going out doing our speech. The guy comes up. Hey, we just got this in the mail. The plaque is here. Okay, maybe it's luck. We had the plaque, doing our speeches, put it up. We're telling stories, which I think was better than having the guns. It would have been nice, folding the flag, but it was like our family way. We're telling jokes. Then all of a sudden, all the cars starts to go off with horns. There's nobody walking. It was like everything was doing it for a reason. It was like it was meant to do that. And we go, all right, guys, we'll go back to my house. We'll cook the foods and all that. And as soon as everybody got in the car, the last person, pouring down hell just happened.
Oh,
it was
wow.
like we're all like, sunlight started when we started talking. Cars go up. It was like the cars was telling us, our uncles were telling us, like, hey guys, let's go back to the house now. Let's get in the car because we're gonna pour down rain now. And it was
Yeah.
just the weirdest thing. We get in the car, pouring down rain. Could that all be luck? I guess so, but it
Yeah.
was like something spiritual happened. It was beautiful. It was awesome. So we did the ceremony our own way. Yes, it wasn't with the guns and stuff, but it was meant that way. You know what I mean?
I think so. I think that I think a lot of this stuff, is luck involved with certain things? Yeah, I guess so. But I don't really believe in, coincidences and things like that. I think that, I think we're not alone. On the back of the book, Are We Not Alone in the Forest? Well, we're not alone in life. I don't believe today. And there are many people that have told me their parents have passed away, or a brother or a wife or whatever. And they're like, yeah, I've never had anything like that happen to me. And, I can't explain that. That's not my field of study, right? But I just think with certain people, there's certain elements. And I got to tell you, I always had, well, people say I have certain gifts for certain things that I can pick out things. And I got to tell you, I've had an heightened awareness about my surroundings ever since I was a kid. I picked out a kid that murdered his grandmother, and I kind of knew he was going to do that.
Wow.
That's a story for another day. But then after I had my Bigfoot encounter in 2018, my awareness, my spirituality is just really, it's in full focus today, because I don't think coincidence happens, and I think it's just your connection outside of your body, I think. And I do believe in that. I didn't believe in that stuff 5-6 years ago. I'll be honest with you. But there's something about it that's prevalent and real.
I guess I feel lucky in a way, because when we grew up in the mountains hunting and all that, my parent, I grew up with a father. My mom left when I was a baby. So I grew up with a father and two bigger brothers. It was all men. But we grew up, when we go camping, hunting, it's with the family, and they always preach to us, respect the forest, respect the land, respect Bigfoot. Bigfoot was talked about normal. I mean, it was talked about, this is their country, this is their land. You respect them, they'll respect you. The lions, the bears, whatever. So, when we had our Bigfoot encounter, I'm not saying we were smart because there was 11, 12 of us when we saw our Bigfoot. It was our whole camp on a hunting route when we saw, but nobody was afraid. And well, it wasn't doing anything to be afraid of in a way. No. It yelled, and we all got out and tried to go after it. But it was more because the family always talked about it. You respect it respects you. So they never developed that fear. It wasn't like, don't go in the woods, the bear's going to get you. It was more like, if you see a bear, this is what you do. You know what I mean? So I feel kind of lucky that I had a family like that. But Rob, a lot of people don't have families like that. A lot of people never went in the mountains. So anything that could scare them, that's spook.
And what you say about bears, I got to tell you what, I'm not, okay, I didn't like Bigfoot in the beginning. And even today, I tell people, was it really Bigfoot that I saw? I still say that because I had a scary encounter. But I got to tell you, I'm not scared of Bigfoot or anything like that. It's like, you know what? About a month ago, for whatever the reason, I put on grizzly bear attacks on YouTube or something, right? About people camping, minding their own business. I had to turn that off because Bigfoot's not going to kill you, right? It's the other things in the forest that can, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard an account of a Bigfoot harming someone. Scaring people, yes. Throwing rocks at them, yes. Running through their camp, yes. Wrecking their tent, yes. I mean, there's a couple stories from back in the 1900s that suggest the Bigfoot, did some things. But I don't find anything from 2000 on or even earlier, It's all about that. It's all about that damn dog man. Did I hear the ghastly things about? So,
but And that's another whole that's a whole nother hour show
It's all,
we could
oh
do,
yeah, yeah.
about the dog man, because first thing you think about the dog man, is it related to the Bigfoot family? Is it related to the werewolf family? What's the difference between a dog man and Bigfoot? Now, if it's hard to convince people that Bigfoot's real, try to convince people that dog man's real, forget about it.
Yep. Well, I got a story. Do I? How much time do we have on this?
Yeah, we got another. Usually, we do for an hour, but we could go to 10, 15, 20 minutes if you tell
Well,
your
you know what?
story.
I gotta let my dog out really quick. It's my brother's, and I'm watching babe dog sitting. It's gonna take me 2 minutes to let him out. I can come back. And so I'd
Yeah,
like
no
to do is
problem.
maybe give you one of the stories from the book. It's about Dog Man, which is pretty cool.
Go for it.
If you
Yeah,
want. All right, I'll be back.
yeah. I hope to hear it.
Just give me a second to let out the dog really quick, and I'll be right back.
No problem. All right, guys, in the chat, I got tons of videos. Let me find while he does when he comes back. Now these videos. Now this is a Bigfoot prank goes wrong. So we're gonna have fun here for a second while we take a little break while he takes the dog out. This is a Bigfoot prank goes wrong. Well, that was a Bigfoot prank goes wrong. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I got tons of short videos. I'm sorry. I thought it was funny. Dogman, which one is real? Huh, let's take a look. Which one is real? Is that picture real? Looks like an AI to me. That looks like an AI to me also. Well, first of all, not one of those look real to me. Did any of those look real to you? Because not one of those look real to me. Let's go over here. Bigfoot lose control. What is this one? I don't remember this one. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, this is another comedy. You know what? How many times come on, be honest. When you grow up, you hear the story that if you put somebody's hand in the water, in the warm water, you will cause that person to pee themselves. We've all heard that. We all heard that. But I kind of like the Bigfoot peeing on himself. So, like I said, this is kind of funny. You put Bigfoot, you put warm water in him, and he pees in his face. One more time. Oh man, we were just having fun. I was showing them some.
No, I apologize for that. My own dog is fine. My brother's dog, I'm not. He's kind of nervous being around here, so I had to let him out. I didn't want no accident, Eric, like I had earlier when I first got on behind the scenes when I spilt all that liquid in the studio area. God,
hey, life happens, and trust me, I know about animals. My wife works from home. She does some business. Sometimes the dog starts to go crazy, and then she texts me during the show, "Can you get the damn dog?"
Yeah.
And I know when Amazon comes, because when the Amazon guy comes, the dog goes crazy. So what I know today, when my dog goes crazy, people, this is what's going to happen. When my dog goes crazy today, it's going to be because of hold on, let me pop this up. How do okay, hold on. It's because My book that I order comes in today. Now, you can order this book Kindle, where it's electronically, it's on your phone. Actually, phone's too small to read. I can't see anybody reading a book on their
Yeah,
phone. Or
it's
the
hard to do.
paperback is really $12.99 after taxes. I think it was $14.01. So
Yeah,
it's not a bad price at all. You can get it on Amazon. And if you guys go to my pinned message, there's a link there. And also in the description somewhere, in the description, you can also go to Amazon that way. It's Rob's book. Like he's saying, it's just not one story. There's multiple stories. So I would recommend, of course, going from the first story all the way through. But you can pick individual stories if you want. If you want to read something, if something more sounds intriguing. But my recommendation, read it from page 1 and all the way up. But
you know,
and
yeah,
mine's supposed to be coming in today by 10 p.m. I was hoping to get it before the show, but it's Amazon, and they just started selling it technically yesterday.
yeah. Technically, it drops Sunday morning, but yeah, I'm looking at the. It's slow to process, and again, they got to print. It's not like they ordered 1,000 of them. I mean, I might sell any copies right now. I know I got one from you. Thank you for that very much. So what they do is, as you order it, then they got to print them, right? So they got to manufacture them. I don't think they carry a big inventory, which supply and demand, right? So you're not going to have 100 books. In fact, I ordered 50 to have on my person, and I have yet to get them. They told me it'd be like 30 days, but that's because I ordered 50. So just to
Oh.
have.
Yeah, and it makes
Yeah.
sense. And I'm sure mine's being shipped from another warehouse to there today. And once they get it, they'll
Yeah.
bring me the book, and I'll kick back at night and start reading it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Well,
kind of
thank
cool.
you
My
so much.
wife's gonna be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're
And
reading a
again,
book."
yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading
Yeah.
True
Well,
Cryptids.
the cool thing about the book, like for those just joining, it's pretty cool. Like you mentioned, yeah, if you want to read from A to Z, fine, but it's set up. There's 45 stories, true encounters that I've gotten over the years, and you go through the table of contents. It'll have the page that every story starts on, so you can start in the middle, the end, the beginning, whatever attracts you to the title. If you want to learn about whatever the story is, so you can go all over. It's not one of these things where like a book is set up where you have to read it from beginning to end to get it. You can read 2 stories, 3 stories, 5, whatever. There's 45. I recommend you read them all, of course, but you can skip around. So it's not a it's not set up chronologically. It's just set up to be easy for the reader to go to what they immediately like and read it. So I thought that was that's what I was thinking when I put it together. So
I
yeah.
like that. You did it for me. We know the truth.
Hey
You did it for
man,
me.
eh, and I think a lot of people are like that too, man. I mean, I've got over here in the corner, I've got 15 books, and I like to read. I do. I haven't read any of them yet. I mean, they're new. People that sent me books, people I've bought. And I'm the type of guy that I'll go into like a Barnes and Noble, and if I see a cool book cover, I'll read the back and I'll buy it because I'm attracted to the cool marketing. You know.
Well, it's because you and I are always working on the next show, getting it ready. We're
Yeah,
always
we're
it's hard.
it's so hard to read, man. It is. Yeah, I'm busy every day, 7 days a week typically, and I no regrets with that. I enjoy it. I like staying busy. When you're not busy, that means you're doing something wrong. But yeah, I know it's an hour show, but I I got this Dogman encounter. This is in the book.
Let's hear it.
I'm not going to read anything from the book. I'm doing this from memory. All the all the details you can find if you buy it. But we're talking earlier about the Dogman, and I thought it'd be cool to do this story because this is not too far from my house. This is in Indiana, and the title of this is Dogman Roams Indiana State Park, and this took place in Potato Creek State Park. This guy had this experience a while ago, and I'm the first person he told this story to. Again, fear of ridicule, but there's a nice twist because there's some conspiracy involved with this, which is another thing, a time for another show about why these cryptids are such kept swept under the rug. Okay, especially when it involves our government or the ABC agencies. So there's a family of 3. It's John, Peggy, and Mark. John being the father, Peggy the wife, Mark is the son. They always go to Creek State Park. What they loved about this park is because you could trailer your horses there, because there was horse trails in which you could take your horses. So they had 2 horses. Sadie was one of the names, and it might have been Mabel, another one. I forget that. Mabel's not correct, but it was 2 horses. One for sure was named Sadie. So, anyways, and now this park, you could also bring your RV. So it was cool. So they took the RV truck, the RV, 27-foot RV, and the son, Mark, he trailered the horses behind his big, full, blown out F-350 Ford pickup truck. So they trail the horses to the state park. Now they've been doing this for like 5 years, where they could hang out. So they get to the park, and there was the property. They got the back lot. Now, in back of the back lot, it's about 30 yards to about 3 or 4 trails, which you could choose to ride your horses. So they've been going there, as I said, Eric, for about 5 years, and they really noticed, though, when they got there, that there was really a foul stench going on. Now, with that being said, horses, horse manure, we all get it, but it was never just this provocative of a scent. It was just, as soon as they got there, they almost wanted to leave. But they said, you know what? Then they tried to get a different location. They said, look, if you want to ride the horse trails, this is what we have available. So they kind of got shut down talking to the administration. So they're like, okay, what have you? They got the RV, they parked it, they pulled out the extended part of the RV, set up their little campsite. So the son, Mark, got the 2 horses out from behind the trailer, cooled them down a little bit. Then they went upon the trail. They picked a trail, and they're taking the horses on a little trot, gallop down the trail. About 100 yards into the trail, the stench grew. And they looked on this trail, and there was big pieces of scat. Now, to preface this, Mark and the father, John, they were into Bigfoot and cryptids. In fact, the father, John, had assumed that he saw what perhaps was a Bigfoot. Wasn't quite certain. So the son and the father would look actively in the woods for evidence. So they're not novices. I mean, novice researchers perhaps, but they were into the subject of Bigfoot. So again, Peggy is riding with John, 2 on 1 horse, and Mark's on his horse. So the father gets off the horse along with Mark, and they inspect the scat. They've come across scat samples in the woods before, thinking perhaps it was Bigfoot or something of that. And it was just very oversized and unusual. Now Peggy's like, guys, stop looking through the feces. Let's get the hell out of here. So the okay. They get back on, they continue on the trail. They're on for maybe a couple hours. It's getting close to evening time. The sun is kind of getting ready to set, but it's still visible outside. So John takes his wife back to the RV, gets her off the horse. So John and Mark go to take the 2 horses to put them in the stable, which is probably about 30 yards from the RV, to cool them off and get them put into the trailer for the evening. So they're going about their business, and all of a sudden they see the husband and the son see Peggy running towards the trailer with her hands flailing in the air. Come quick, you guys. They get to the trailer, and they notice surrounding, the RV, they notice a bunch of oversized wolf-like tracks around the RV. Now, number 1, no wolves in Indiana, and 2, these tracks, John measured them to be about 8 inches long, 4.5, 5 inches wide, and there was 3. You could literally see 3 like claws or talons ground around this their RV. So John calls the administration. He wants to report this and have somebody come out and look at this because it's unusual. Now, of course, the husband and the son are now their mind is ticking. They're thinking, wow, there's a cryptid around here, maybe like a dog man. And because they knew about Dogman as well, never seen one or investigated. But if you're into Bigfoot, you know what Dogman's all about for the most part. So they're thinking, man, don't tell mom, but this might be it looks like this is not a wolf. This is like, plus they were bipedal. This is something strange going on here. So there was no answer at the administrative office. No one called them back. So they said, so the father and Mark decide in the morning they will go visit the office up front. So they go about their day, tell Peggy, don't worry, honey, let's just go about the rest of the evening. So they go out and they set a bonfire, sitting around the bonfire. After about a half hour into roasting marshmallows, making s'mores, whatever they're doing, they hear these howls come from the woodline. Now, these howls are not coyotes, they're not wolves, they're not anything. In fact, the howls are unfamiliar to the son and the father. It kind of actually, and Peggy, the wife, hears this, so they're all kind of they're getting a little freaked out, a little scared, because you combine that with the tracks around the RV. They're thinking, man, there's something out here. So the family puts out the fire, they extinguish the fire, and they get back to the RV. They settle up, they settle in, they decide to go to sleep. About 2.5, 3 hours into their sleep, they hear these howls again. But now these howls are closer. These howls are coming from the trailer where the two horses are kept. John, Mark, they get out and they go toward the trailer where they hear these howls. They notice at the back end of the trailer that the hinges on the trailer are ripped off. They see something bipedal run out of the back of the trailer and sprint into the woodline. Now, John says that he regrets this because he brought a shotgun with him when he went to investigate these howls towards the trailer. And he fired at this bipedal object running into the tree line. He says that was a bad move because within 20 minutes, he was visited by the state sheriff, administrator. Of course, they could not get a hold of the administrator earlier when he wanted to report these tracks, but now you have the park administrator, the state police, and some other person. So 3 people show up. But before they show up, they get to the trailer to look at what happened, and these hinges are ripped off the trailer, and they see their 2 horses. They're bucking. One is kind of whimpering. He finally got the horses kind of settled down, and on one of the horses on the rear hind quarter, there are 3 claw marks ripped into the hindquarters, and the horse is bleeding. Now, it's not profuse, did not hit a main artery. It was not going to die or bleed out, but something attacked it. So he gets out of the trailer. Now these 3 individuals show up. Again, park official, a state police officer, and some other unidentified person. Because they got there because you're not supposed to have any weapons or there should not be anything being fired there. And he shot his shotgun toward the tree line at this creature or whatever he thought it was. So they're talking and they're sitting around, and the son says, "Dogman." The 3 officials and this third person, who remains unidentified, including to the email, got together and said, "Dogman, do me a favor, do not say the word Dogman." Got together with the administrator of the park, state sheriff, and this third unidentified person. They figured it was a governmental person. They go on, they talk for 10, 11 minutes. The administrator of the park says, "Listen, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. We are going to pay all medical bills for your horse. We're going to pay all lot fees for you. We're going to pay everything. This vacation that you came to this state park, we are going to completely cover, but do us a favor in return. Please do not make mention of this to anybody. Certainly, right there, Eric, that's so strange for them to talk about something of this nature.
And offer to pay for something.
An offer to pay. But there is where it gets a little more in depth. They leave. They leave. They don't even stay. Peggy wants to leave. No. We got to take care of the horses. This is a terrible event. This is nuts. And then they offer to pay for everything and be hush up. So a day, less than 48 hours. Now, this took place in Indiana. These folks live in South Bend, Indiana. So it's about an hour and a half from where they live. And they got home. In less than 48 hours, they were paid a visit by administrator from Potato Creek State Park and another governmental type individual. And when they paid the visit to the home, they weren't as nice as they were at the park. They were a little more stern and said this emphatically: do not report this to anybody. They already had gotten a word that the man was already telling friends on Facebook or social media about what had happened. And apparently the government or this state park was tuned into that immediately. In less than 48 hours, paid them a visit and very sternly suggested that their life would be in danger if they kept on with this. And before they left, Eric, they handed them over a duffel bag. And inside the duffel bag was $10,000 in cash.
Whoa.
So now when you take all this, so that's one of the stories in the book. And I will say this again, this is just this talks about Dogman, talks about conspiracy, talks about government, non-disclosure, wanting your mouth shut. If someone came into my house and threatened me, presumably like this person told me via the email, I would be outraged. Then I think the 10 grand, kept the father at bay from, beating their ass, I think, right? But yeah, so this has the elements of everything. So a lot of stories are kind of like that. Some are happy, some are terrifying, some have some conspiracy. And again, and some are flat boring. I'll tell this right on the show, Eric. Some of them are kind of boring. Some are Bigfoot crossing the road. There's more detail, of course, than that. But it's got elements of everything. That's kind of an example of what you can find in the book. It's mostly some Bigfoot, and it's Bigfoot, Dogman, and there's a Mothman story in there as well. And there's also a Wendigo story. So it's got everything.
Well, true stories are not always going to be the most exciting thing in the world. When a story is
they're
true,
typically,
tell it the truth, it's going to be what it is.
They're typically boring, there's no sensationalism in this book. It's told what the people sent me, and I reported them. A lot of them I had to kind of, reconstruct a little because to add some detail. Hey, listen, was it a nice day, a sunny day? Again, you'll find it all in the book. It's very cool. I'm proud of it. And that's a sample, though. And again, I did that from memory, everybody. But again, just to give you an idea.
I like it because this makes you think, like the $10,000 bag, did they study the person who they're going to talk to? Like what are, if they study the person, like, what are their weaknesses? Are they behind on bills? What can they give him that he's going to need it desperately? He's probably has some bills in this, and $10,000 is what he needed.
I'm a little disappointed. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm kind of disappointed that the people from Cadillac, Michigan, Mitchell Creek Lake, to be exact, Mitchell Lake didn't come and offer me 10 grand in hush money for telling my story. I still would have told it anyway. I'd have taken the money and still told the story.
Oh, well, Rob, what do you got coming up this week? Where are you going on next? When's your next show? What's going on?
Actually, tonight I got the 2 shows a week. Tuesdays, 9:00 in the East Beyond BMR, and Thursdays at 1:00 is brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Tonight at 9, I got Tom Cardos on talking about his encounters with Bigfoot in the woods, or what he's all about. He's with the North Carolina Bigfoot Paranormal Project. I believe a lot of people know Tom. He'll be on tonight, and I don't know who's lined up Thursday. I can't think that far ahead. I'm so busy.
No problem.
But yeah,
Then,
I'm on 2 days a week, and then I drop encounter stories on Saturdays.
and then for my channel, people, I'm not doing a show tomorrow, but I got on Thursday. We're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna be talking about the Amityville Horror House versus the Conjuring House. Which one's the bigger story? Which one is really more haunted? That's the one where we are gonna make the decision. And then to me on Friday, I have Cosmic Neighbors and my brother coming on. We're gonna be talking about this. We know aliens exist, but the title is "If Aliens Exist, Will We Know It Because of Satellites?" So we're gonna be talking about this history of satellites being sent out in space to, the satellite to ask the aliens to come to be our friends, to visit us. There was a record that was sent out in 45 different languages, inviting them here. So we're going to be dissecting all the satellites, like the movie Contact. Will they contact us by using the language math? So we're going to break it down with, our first real true contact, even though some people believe we already been contacted, but will it be by math, language? We're going to dissect it all on Friday. So Rob, awesome. I got to say, thank you so much for coming up. Not just coming up here talking about your book, the stories and your personal stuff. I mean, that's some of the stuff you talked about your father and stuff. I know that's personal, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, hey, I am an open book. I mean, I'm all about marketing. Yeah, Bigfoot Michigan Rob's my channel. I hope people buy the book. I get that, and I do. That's part of my thing. But I'm pretty much a straight shooter. I like telling stories about myself and others because, as I said at the very beginning of the show, I do this just to help people, man, because I was there and I was very distraught in a dark place in my life. And so I'm so appreciative of the people that come on these shows, to come on my show, to come on your shows, come on World Bigfoot Radio Show. He's got a great channel, by the way. And thanks to Danny for sending out the links. I love all you guys. It's a great community. Yeah, is there bickering and bitching? Yeah, that's part of life. But I'm proud of what I'm doing today, and I'm happy with what you got going on too. I highly recommend your show as well, Eric.
And I know I haven't put it out yet, guys. I actually do have the next 2 cartoons already done. I just got to get the voices down. I got to get those out. I actually got 2 next episodes already done. The graphics are already done. I just got to. It's not like you said, Rob. We only have so much time during the day to do everything, and it's just so hard to, and when you do a cartoon, try to get all these voices together, then put them in.
Yeah, I know.
It's a lot of work.
I've been a voice on a couple of your cartoons, and I'm waiting for my next invite. I played the devil, I think.
You played the devil, and I got
a pirate.
I probably will come to you for a voice because I got a lot of voices that's needed for my next one.
Cool.
I'll just say the next one's going to be visited by, let me see, Ben Affleck, Bruce Willis, Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward.
Well,
yes, Fred Ward is coming back from the dead.
Speaking of Bruce Willis, my niece and nephew, when they were little kids, is back in the day when Bruce Willis was a thing. My brother and my sister-in-law told the kids I was Bruce Willis because they saw a couple of his movies. Die Hard it was. So they thought I was Bruce Willis for about 4 years, so they figured it out.
That is awesome. But beyond that, thank you so much. Everybody in the chat, please come back to his channel. Come back to my channel on Thursday. And beyond that, we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot, man.